thing that the United Cajun Navy are so forthcoming. The fact that they told us, we haven't heard from any of their local officials, that Nolan was found face down, fully clothed.
A few moments later.
When we observed him from the air, yeah, he was face down and he was wearing swim trunks and only swim trunks. I think that the term fully clothed just got taken out of context.
They have thrusted race into a scenario where race was not present, and there's no evidence that racism had anything to do with it. Let me ask you something. Have you ever Googled your own name? Do it sometimes. You'll be shocked at how much of your private information is out there. Your address, phone numbers, even your family details. And here's the crazy part. Data brokers and random websites are selling your information without your consent. That's where Incogni comes in. Incogni tracks down and removes your personal data from hundreds of data broker sites, the ones that collect, sell, and repost your information for profit. Now with Incogni's custom data removal, you can maximize your online privacy. That means find your personal information on any site. You can just send Incogni the link and their privacy experts will handle the rest. It's really that simple. Remember, a VPN protects your data going out, but Incogni removes what's already out there. They can't harm you if they can't find you. This isn't some shady privacy gimmick. Incogni's customer data removal process was verified by Deloitte, proving that they actually get results. Take your personal data back with Incogni. All you gotta do is use code Tatum and get 60% off the annual plan at incogni.com/Tatum. That's incogni.com/Tatum. Protect your privacy today. First of all, it is a tragedy what happened to Nolan. It's a tragedy. It is sad. I couldn't imagine losing my child. Even though he was an adult, he was 18 years old, he was in college, it's still a tragedy to lose your child. And despite my disagreements with the way the family is doing, especially working with Benjamin Crump, especially the things that I have learned that they have said that have not been true, and personally, I think in the effort to maximize this moment, I don't know if they're being coerced to do it, or I don't know if they just doing it because that's who they really are on the inside. But regardless of any of that, it's still very unfortunate what happened to Nolan. And my goal, just as well as most other people who have common sense and who cares, my goal is to find out what happened to the boy so he can get closure, his family can get closure, and his friends can get closure. The thing that is not happening properly is that we're not working together as a community to get to the bottom of this. They have thrusted race into a scenario where race was not present, and there's no evidence that racism had anything to do with it. After being out there in Mississippi, I found out that really the white friends were Nolan's closest friends. That's why he spent the night at their house before they went out for the 4th of July. They've been out for the 4th of July last year just as well as they did this year. And nothing mysteriously happened to Nolan. Some of the boys that I interviewed showed me pictures, told me stories about them and Nolan. And it just shocked me that what's being presented to the media and what's being presented to the world is not necessarily the truth of what happened. And this is what sparked me, y'all, that made me feel like I need to make sure that this is done right. I need to do the right thing. I'm going to fly my whole team to Mississippi. We need to talk to people. It's because when you listen to the family, when you listen to, and I think it's more Benjamin Crump than the family, to be quite honest. When you listen to Benjamin Crump, you realize that they're grifting. Because everybody under the sound of my voice probably have heard them say, oh, they left Nolan at the island. Well, if they left him at the island, that had nothing to do with his drowning or death or murder or whatever the case that has happened, the boys had nothing to do with it if they left him. So make your mind up, did they leave him or did they do something to him? What they were hoping would happen is that people would fall for the idea that it was just 4 white boys on a secluded island where no witnesses could have occurred and they did something nefarious and they left him behind. And therefore the whole world thinking it's them. When you leave a person who's an adult who refused to get on the boat that was sinking, They were in an emergency situation. They had to get the boat out of there. He was with a chick. He stood behind with the chick. That's not odd. He's 18 years old. And they leave, and there's hundreds, if not thousands of people still there. Hundreds, if not 1,000 boats still there. There's multiple friend groups that he did not even come with, that he was mingling with and talking to while he was there. According to what I've learned, and you guys are going to see in subsequent interviews that we've done, is that it's not uncommon for people to go out with a group and leave with another group. So when one boat leaves, it is not abnormal for Nolan to decide, hey, bro, I'm with this chick right now. Y'all leaving too early. Because according to the timeline, they left at around 4:30. Everybody's still partying. There's still thousands of people there when they left. And they only left because they were in an emergency situation with the boat getting ready to sink. But it's not that odd when you hear the totality of circumstances that, oh, he was kicking with this chick. He can go back with her on a boat. And the phone situation, I talked to the boys about the phone situation. They're like, everybody leaves their phone on the boat. When I was there, I left my phone on the boat, and I didn't even think about it. I just knew I wasn't going to have my phone in my hand when I jumped in the water, because you can't just get on the beach. You got to jump in the water first to get to the beach, or at least the island. And I didn't have my phone on me. None of us had our phones on us. I could have been filming content out there. The reception is not great. So it's not really conducive to have your phone on you in the first place. Multiple people left their phone on the boat.
He talks in the preliminary discussion opinion. This forensic pathologist identified several limitations during the second autopsy that create barriers to establishing a definitive cause and manner of death for Nolan Xavier Wells. And that's important. He talks about the fact that we didn't get to see the body when it was first recovered, like the medical examiner working for Mississippi would have seen it. He talked about the second autopsy performed on Nolan Wells revealed marked decompensation or changes. Marked decompensation can obscure the presence and absence of bruising on the skin surface, especially during a second autopsy examination. What he's saying, because the body was so decomposed that you couldn't tell if there was bruises or abrasions on the body when he received it on the 10th of July. For these reasons, additional dissection procedures not performed during the first autopsy examination were performed to rule out potential blunt force injuries responsible for the death. These procedures included facial dissection, posterior head and neck dissection, dissection of the ribs, the pelvic, dissection of the subcutaneous and deep soft tissue, dissection of the back, the buttocks, the arms, and legs. He did all of this to rule out things. He ruled out there were no fractures or deep tissue injuries identified. This was very important because he wanted to be very thorough and very transparent, because transparency is the key to getting to the answers of why Nolan Wells is not with us. So he did that there and was very straightforward, very open, very open. He says, however, dissection of the back of the head during the layered posterior neck dissection revealed a 12 by 8 inch focal area of red discoloration in the deep soft tissues overlaying the occipital bone. And he talked about how he found red discoloration when he cut open into the back of his head towards the occipital bone, and he saw the red discoloration, and we actually saw the pictures of it. It's significant. You can't help but notice, why is this dark red here in the back of his head? And so he was important to note that in his report. He said that etiology of this finding is unclear. There are no lacerations of the overlaying skin nor fractures of the underlying skull. These findings are inconclusive for perimortem injury due to both the extensive decomposition and the absence of associated injuries. This finding, however, is significant enough to be highlighted in this preliminary report for further investigation. It is important to reiterate that the finding could not have been observed in the first autopsy because the posterior head and neck dissection were not performed. He said another limitation, move this back here. Another limitation faced by this forensic pathologist was the absence of the anterior internal neck structures. The trachea and the laryngeal cartilage, the thyroid horn, and the hyoid bone were not received with the body. So he's saying that the throat was not received with the body when he got Nolan Wells' body in Washington, D.C. to perform the second autopsy.
He did not reveal anything. He knew, and any medical examiner knows, that when you do this, you're going to have areas where the second forensic pathologist is not going to be able to determine these things.
Yes.
The original examination yielded the same results as what they just did. And he put the family through all of this stuff when he could have told them offline, and he could have just put this up on a website and not had to go through the graphic nature, or he could have let an actual medical examiner explain this to the family instead of him going through line by line and just trying to make it salacious. There is no evidence that anything was done, and there are no improprieties at this point. Everything that he said that they did, the other medical examiner said this is common practice. What would make them think that that Mississippi is going to do something wrong?
Right, 100%. Can I speak about some? I have some experience.
Let's just make sure, and you do. Let's make sure that he's not doing the Q&A first.
Copy that.
Because we're gonna jump in because he's just doing nothing but going in circles. We'll get back to him, but you have a lot of experience with this. You worked at a funeral home.
My family business, we had 4 funeral homes and a crematory, and I was a funeral director's assistant for years, and which meant I dealt with a lot of autopsies. And the thing I thought was really dirty at the beginning of his, spiel was essentially all his organs were removed, and you hear the crowd gasp.
Yeah.
Every autopsy that is done, there's the Y incision, everything is taken out, weighed, inspected, and then put in a plastic bag, tied up, and put into the stomach, sealed back up. That is 100% common. The other thing is like when you're doing this to a body, you're essentially kind of destroying the body. You have to be very thorough. You have to do all this stuff. So if there is a second autopsy performed, you're not going to see as much stuff as you would maybe in the first one, because like the stomach contents have already been gone through, there's not going to be, you're not going to see water in the lungs because the lungs have already been inspected and put back in the bag. So I think, I don't know, this to me seems dirty. The bruising, and the advanced stage decomposition, You're obviously not going to see much when a body's been decomposing in salt water in the heat for 2 days.
Yeah. And they know this
Yes.
before they initiated. They knew it. And so they knew they were going to do this and make it out to be something more than it probably was. They knew that they were going to have limitations when they went into it. If they were really honest, they would have said, we're going to do a secondary autopsy. Just so you know, there will be limitations to information because this is a second autopsy. They've already made the conclusion that Nolan was murdered. Mm-hmm. They don't want the truth. They want somebody arrested for murder. They're not accepting the fact that he could have just drowned.
Right.
He out there getting drunk. They drinking. He could have went off the edge, went underwater, passed out, drowned, died. Nobody saw him. There's so many boats and stuff out there. He just floated out like other people who have died there. They just make black people look so bad, man. Because without any information, they jump to racism. They're not saying that the authorities have actually materially did anything wrong. It's just because they white, they don't trust that they're going to do this boy right. With no evidence. Like, in these situations, they have investigated and arrested people in these other situations. Just because it's not the outcome you want, don't mean that it's impropriety. Let me just explain this, too, about law enforcement. You can't arrest people because you think they did something.
Right.
You have to have reasonable suspicion or probable cause to arrest, meaning reasonable suspicion to detain them, and you got to have probable cause to arrest them. So you go out, a kid dies, you don't have a search warrant to go through people's phones unless you can tie them to a crime committed or suspicion that they were involved in a crime. You cannot just get people's phone because you were out there, therefore they should be able to get everybody's phone that's on the island. What judge is going to grant you a search warrant to get every phone that's on the island because people were out there with Nolan? Then the contradiction is that they left him behind.
Right.
If they left him behind, they weren't there when he died. So now how are you going to get their cell phone records when they weren't even there when he died? It's all to push racism, bruh. I want to know what happened to Nolan. They don't want to know what happened to Nolan. And this family is getting caught up in this with these hoodwinking folk that all they're doing is doing. 4th of July, they brought up 3 incidents. Well, there's probably 45 black people that got killed on the 4th of July through homicide and all other things, and they don't talk about them. They just got the grifty ones. And that girl, let me tell you something. Mm-hmm. I'm going to find this clip, team. I want y'all to find this clip. Because I think that woman lied on Katie Pavlich's show. She told me, I said, he ain't gonna talk about it unless it's white people involved. She claimed her nephew got killed in like a boating situation or something like this, where there was black people involved, but Benjamin Crump was there. And he only mentioned 3 of these situations, and they all were involving one black kid, all white people. Let's just play it through, and then we'll get to it, because it happened right at the beginning. Maybe the second iteration of us talking, where I said he never goes to any of this stuff unless they black, and she brought up an incident. Let's play it, and then let's find this incident that she's talking about. Because if it's one of those 3, she lied on here. If it's something else, I'm willing to look into it. All right, roll it.
From a law enforcement perspective, what do you make of the timeline, the lack of answers, what maybe occurred here?
Well, I think the first thing is that these activists just came in and brought in information or lies about circumstances to make people question. The law enforcement officers have already done an autopsy. They've already investigated. There's no sign of foul play. And one thing that's very interesting that I just found out recently is that it wasn't a situation where you have Nolan Wells and 4 of the kids at an island. There's thousands of people there. There's hundreds of different boats. So him staying behind while some of his other friends went back to the mainland wasn't that suspicious. I really wish that the family would focus on Nolan Wells' life, focus on the investigation, and let the police do their job instead of interjecting race into this situation. And it's completely unnecessary to be there at this point.
Time out.
So, Ted,
at this point, if you don't have clear evidence of racial animus or racial motives, you do not interject it into a sensitive situation where a young man has died. They came in and they lied about so many different things, which we already disproving a lot of it. Now, this is what the lady said in his response.
Worked with Ben Crump. You have valuable insight into how he operates. You're not speaking for him tonight, but what do you think about the timeline and whether it determines whether Nolan was still alive before the boat left the island, like his friends insist?
Yeah, thank you, Katie. I'm speaking as a mom, of a 19-year-old. In the same way Officer Tatum wishes that people would not insert lies, I wish Officer Tatum would allow the independent investigation, to run its course. You don't know, Mr. Tatum, what has been talked about in this investigation. It has not been complete, and people have not came forward to say what happened with Nolan Wells. So I actually do believe his parents when they said that they taught their son to leave with whoever you came with. So for you to make the accusations that is a lie, when they're burying their son on Monday, is quite frankly to be disgusting, Officer Tatum, and I'm ashamed.
You know what's funny? I hope that you're paying attention to this, because there's a lot of information that have come out, and I've gotten firsthand knowledge about some things that have happened on that island, and people are going to be ashamed of themselves for sitting here lying and pushing racism in this circumstance. I don't know what happened, but I do know. I'll let you finish. I'll let you speak. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm just saying I got firsthand knowledge too. But as we're talking about right now, as we're talking about right now, you made the accusation that there were lies, that race has been interjected. Like I said last week, if people don't want people to speculate, then investigate. So this
Brandon, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that topic, because Ben Crump is notorious and has been criticized by people who have used him in the past for their cases of being an ambulance chaser, pushing a narrative that fits the racial lens that he wants it to. You've talked about this on your podcast and how you believe young black men are unfortunately killed every single day. And people like Ben Crump and Al Sharpton just highlight certain stories that benefit them rather than the families.
Well, let's keep it real. This is all about money. Benjamin Crump will never show up to a kid's funeral or say anything about a kid that's killed by another black kid. But if there's an opportunity to interject racism into a situation where there's no evidence of racism, Benjamin Crump will be there to do it. What is his end goal? He's not a criminal. He's not a criminal attorney. So he's not going to help the family get justice on a criminal level. He's a civil rights attorney. You don't need a civil rights attorney in a case where you're wondering if the investigation is going right for your son, unless you believe this has something to do with racism.
Let him finish, and then I'll let you talk, okay? Let him finish his point, and then I'll let you respond.
He's going on a diatribe, so
no, he's not. He's speaking, and I'll let you respond as soon as he's done making his point.
Katie, I'll let the young lady go. Go ahead. I would love to hear what you got to say to that.
Go right ahead.
Thank you, Officer Tate. Thank you. Well, let's just once again, speaking about things that you don't know about. Katie, you set it up with talking about Ben Crump being notorious for race baiting. I could name a couple of things that Officer Tatum here is also notorious for. So let's be careful on how we.
We don't need these personal attacks.
I'm gonna finish my statement. I'm gonna finish my statement, and let me also correct you on something else, Mr. Tatum. When you said Ben Crump would never show up for a black kid that was murdered by a black kid, my cousin Jordan Turner, who was 19 and was murdered by another black kid that also went away with his friends and never returned home. Guess who showed up?
Jordan Turner.
Attorney Ben.
She better be. It better be right what she's saying.
Let's see.
Because I conceded to her on the news. I said, okay, that's one. I can't name two.
Saturday for $1 million for 24-year-old Jordan Turner who faces murder and weapons charges. Does that sound right? She just mentioned the name.
I know. She said he went on a boat trip. So Jordan Turner goes on a boat trip. He was killed.
Okay, let me refine this a bit. Yeah, I'll do some more digging.
Grant will look it up and let her finish.
Benjamin Crump, I know you're looking confused. See, this is why it's important that you.
Was that related to black people? Was black people involved in his death?
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay, that's
and
one.
They were convicted.
We didn't hear about it plastered all over the media. That's a big difference.
So see, this is why you don't know. This is why you should speak of what you know and not what you heard. So again, when it comes down to Nolan Wells, I ask that we use this time to ask people to come forward and speak about what they know. The young man did not come home, Brandon. He didn't come home. So let's use this time instead of focusing on what people are saying in the comments. Let's continue to stay in.
Brandon, Ben Crump is the one making this conversation in the media. Ben Crump is the one making this conversation in the media. He's the one pushing this out there so people do speculate ahead of the investigation, not letting it play out. But Brandon, I want to ask you this question. Teslin, 1 second. Brandon, there's been a lot of accusation and pushing that Nolan Wells' white friends have not been questioned enough, as if they were somehow responsible for his death based on race. That seems like a highly irresponsible narrative to be pushing, especially when we don't know all of the facts yet.
100%. It is a flat out lie. The police department isn't doing their investigation. They're doing it fair and properly. Benjamin Crump cannot come out right now and say that the investigation isn't going like it should. They're interjecting race into something that has nothing to do with race. These boys were friends. The coach came out, who happened to be a black man, that said he don't believe race is a factor. These boys grew up together. These boys go to school together. This is a tragic situation, and they should leave it at what it is, and that's a tragedy. Let the investigation unfold. Benjamin Crump they're already out saying this has something to do with race because the boy was with white guys. That is asinine.
Just like you described when you talk about black on black crime constantly. So what a young black boy went with his white friends and didn't come back. So why are you not asking the white children to speak up? Nobody saw nothing, Brandon.
They are speaking. They are speaking.
That he didn't come home.
All right, we gotta run.
White got to do anything.
We got to we hope that the family can get some answers because a young man is dead.
Yeah,
and
all
we
right.
want
So that
his
was the
family
end of
to
it.
have closure.
You know, a little ghetto. Why what does it got to do with them being white? Like, even if they did something to him, why can't it just be they did something to these boys did something to him and they should go to prison? Now we know they ain't had nothing to do with it because these people talking out of both sides of their mouths. Joe, to your question, yes, but I don't know what time it is.
It's 7:58.
Oh, I got plenty of time. It's so early. Yeah, yes. But going back to what I said is that, look, make your mind up. The white boys are guilty because they left him. They wanted you to believe they left him on a deserted island. That's how they made it out to be like they're guilty of his death because they must have did something to him and then left him to die. And now the world has found out after they pushed this narrative that he was there with hundreds of other people and tons of his other friends.